Hardly a day goes by when we don't hear of terrorists attacking, ISIS advancing, the Taliban erupting, and Russia overwhelming. You've probably asked yourself, how safe is my family, and when is something bad going to happen close to home? Well, there may be no one more qualified to answer those questions than Bill Cowan. Yes, he's the outspoken, tough, not hesitant to step on toes commentator on the Fox News channel. But you may not know he lives right here in the Piedmont, and I got to spend some time with him recently. You wouldn't think in this home on a quiet, beautiful green stretch of land in Surry County, where even the horses seem relaxed, lives an internationally recognized authority on terrorism, homeland security, intelligence, and military special operations.
I was a camp commander of the Vietnamese refugees in 1975, and that flag flew over my camp at the time, and so I've had it for years, and I see it's in
remarkable shape. And so is Bill Cowan himself, nearly 50 years after his 3 tours of duty in Vietnam and 8 years after this picture of him in Iraq, where he was actively doing military intelligence and other work for the United States government, much of which is so classified he can't talk about.
I mean, I've been wounded a number of times. I killed a bunch of people. I've captured people, interrogated people. I've done all the things that many of our young men and women who've served in the military have done.
We do good, that's for sure.
But fewer of those people have opted for life in this part of northwestern North Carolina after their service. Cowan moved here because his wife, Velvet, is from here. Here in North Carolina, the Piedmont Triad, should we feel safe from the dangers of the world?
Yeah, I think we should feel very safe here because we're not a high-profile place, the names of which resonate around the world. New York means something. Washington, D.C., San Francisco, Chicago, all of those names are names that are well understood around the world. But around the world, nobody's heard of Winston-Salem or Greensboro or Mount Airy or anything else.
But Cowan feels that doesn't mean we shouldn't be concerned, like he was critical of former President Bush.
It was a terrible mistake to go to Iraq.
He's been blasting President Obama for not doing enough to defeat ISIS. What ultimately is it going to take to defeat these guys?
Well, I think, again, it's going to take all the nations in that region, to a lesser extent the United States, except for air power, but we have to coalesce the people over there to fight against them. We don't have enough bombs and bullets in the United States of America to defeat radical Islam. We could be killing people every day and we'd never achieve it.
As you know, there are some in Washington who feel we should send American ground troops over there to fight ISIS. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't want to see any more American casualties over there, but we do have a role as Americans. That is air power. We have the best air power, the most precise ability to drop bombs on real targets. And we need sometimes some people on the ground to facilitate the dropping of bomb on an accurately on the right target. So I see a small role, but nothing more.
Is another 9/11 style attack against this country inevitable?
I don't think there'll be anything that big unless it's biological or chemical.
What type of attack worries you the most? Will it be, the anti-aircraft over the shoulder? I mean, what worries you the most?
If I was their planning guy right now, I would already have 10 surface-to-air missiles, shoulder-fired missiles here in the United States. You don't have to hit an airplane to have an impact. If you hit an airplane, good. And even sometimes when those missiles hit big commercial aircraft, they don't bring them down. Right. But just fire them. Yeah. That day, commercial aviation, as we know it in the United States of America, will cease.
What is the biggest long-term threat to the United States?
The biggest long-term threat, in my judgment, is China. It's an existential threat. The Chinese would like to push us off of our perch. We'll no longer be the #1 power in the world. We will lose a lot of our economic interest. We'll lose a lot of our accessibility to raw materials, which impacts on our economy. These are 2 grenades that were thrown at my foxhole in Vietnam, September 7th, 1967. Wow. And they've both been defused, so we don't need to worry about it. The EOD guys, you don't need to come over here. Right.
Bottom line, Cowan doesn't want our service members to face what he did in the late 60s, but things could change if we're not careful.
And it's an absolute true statement, and I travel the world. Our enemies don't fear us, and our friends don't trust us. And that's a sad state of affairs.
Strong words from a peaceful place. Bill Cowan still hasn't formally retired. In fact, he plans to fly to Libya within the next few weeks to help a couple of friends who are working to ease the crisis there. He also plans to head to Somalia soon to help the refugees fleeing from Yemen. Cowan also has strong opinions on other big world issues, and to read and hear his takes on Russia, Cuba, Iran, Afghanistan, Israel, and the Palestinians, check out the web extras that accompany this story on myfox8.com.